The Wild West wasn't just about cowboy hats, shootouts, and dramatic one-liners. No, sir. It was also home to some of the most ridiculous, violent, and just plain unlucky outlaws to ever exist. Let's talk about three of them: the Apache Kid, Big Nose George, and John Wesley Hardin. Three dudes who really knew how to keep the chaos rolling. So, buckle up, because these three maniacs turned the Wild West into their own personal action movie. One that was probably rated WTF for excessive violence and poor life choices. The man, the myth, the mystery. First up, we've got the Apache Kid. Part scout, part outlaw, and full-time trouble magnet. The Apache Kid. Tall, dark-eyed, liked rockin' an all-black wardrobe like a 19th century outlaw fashion icon. But the real kicker? This guy had insane eyesight, like see a fly blink from a mile away eyesight. Now, when was he born? Great question. Some say 1860 in Aravepa Canyon. Others say 1868. Near Globe, Arizona. Either way, nobody's got a birth certificate, and let's be real here. Record keeping back then was basically someone scribbling on a piece of bark. By 1875, he was definitely in Globe, hustling small gigs at saloons and general stores. That's where he met this Civil War vet, prospector, and eventual Apache Scout commander, Al Sieber. Big shot, big mustache, big influence on the kid. Sieber saw potential and recruited him into the Apache Scouts. Fast forward, and Kid's climbing ranks, becoming a sergeant, earning street cred. Sieber and some other dude decide Kid's grown enough to handle himself, so they take off for a couple days, probably hitting up the local reservation casino to catch Coldplay or Carrot Top. Who knows? History's a little fuzzy on that one. Left to his own devices, Kid and his Apache crew do what any unsupervised gang of warriors would do. Brew up a batch of Tiswin, a homemade corn beer that probably tasted like fermented socks, but it got the job done. Things got rowdy, and before you know it, this guy, Gonzizi, not to be confused with Godzilla, kills Kid's dad, Togo de Chuz. Not cool, man, not cool. So Kid and his homies return the favor and take out Gonzizi. Then, still riding the Tiswin wave, they decide, hey, let's go after his brother too. After sobering up and realizing, oh crap, we really did that, Kid and the gang try to turn themselves in. But one guy panics, bullets fly, and suddenly they're fugitives. During the ensuing chaos, Sieber gets shot in the ankle. Now, this really pisses off the U.S. Army. So General Miles starts a manhunt. Now, sometime later, the kid surrenders. But this being the Wild West, things get extra dramatic. He's sentenced to death. Then gets that knocked down to life in Alcatraz. Then reduced again to 10 to 15 years. That's a pretty sweet deal, right? Well, 16 months later, Arizona's all like, nah, bring him back for more trials. October 1889. Another trial. Another guilty verdict. This time, it's Yuma Prison for 7 years. Sheriff Reynolds and his deputy William Hunky Dory Holmes. Seriously, that was his nickname. I'm not even kidding. You can look it up. Anyway, they take the kid and his crew to catch a train to Yuma. Reynolds confidently declares, I can take those Indians alone with a corncob and a lightning bug. What does that even mean? Anyway, turns out he was a little overconfident. There weren't enough corn cobs or lightning bugs in the world to stop what happened next. Something about some other inmates in the horse buggy traveling too far ahead. Anywho, Reynolds got shot in the head, and Hunky Dory died of fright or a heart attack. The kid and his crew escaped for good. From then on, he's a ghost. Sightings pop up here and there, but no one really knows what happened. Some say he lived till 1930. Others say he vanished into legend. Either way, the Apache Kid went out like a true outlaw, mysterious and uncatchable. Big Nose George, outlaw turned fashion statement. A train robber with a gigantic nose and a serious problem with keeping his mouth shut. Yep, the name says it all. This guy's schnoz was so massive, he could probably smell trouble before it even happened. A career outlaw, he rolled with a gang of horse thieves and road agents led by a guy named Sim. They did the typical Wild West bad guy stuff, robbing stagecoaches, jacking payroll wagons, and causing general mayhem. August 1878, the crew hatches a brilliant plan. Derail a Union Pacific train near Medicine Bow and loot the wreckage. Genius, right? They didn't account for the track repair crew that rolled through first. The workers saw the damage, fixed the rail, and the train passed through unscathed. Foiled and frustrated, the gang retreated to Rattlesnake Canyon, where two lawmen caught up with them. And in true outlaw fashion, the gang responded by shooting them. It's what they do. Then, knowing things were about to get hot, they split up. A $10,000 bounty was placed on their heads, and one by one, they started dropping like flies. And Frank? Dead. Dutch? Captured. And hanged. Sim and another Frank vanished into the sunset. And Big Nose George? Well, he made it longer than most. Until he got hammered at a saloon and started bragging about that train robbery and those murdered lawmen. Somebody there snitched and boom, arrested. Shipped back to Wyoming and sentenced to hanging in 1881. But George, being George, tried to escape. And spoiler alert, he failed. So a lynch mob stepped in to help. Except they sucked at hanging. Took him 3 tries to get it right.
Whoops! Uh-oh! Uh-oh!
Third time's a charm, I guess. And now for the weird part. Dr. John Osborne and his team decided to study Big Nose George's brain for outlaw tendencies. Standard 19th century doctoring, right? But then Osborne took it to a whole new level. First, he made a death mask of George's face. Then he skinned him. Yeah, skinned him. Like, took off his skin. Sent the skin to a tannery in Denver and had it turned into a pair of shoes and a doctor's bag. So yeah, Big Nose George's legacy wasn't just outlaw legend. It was also walking around on someone's feet. Try walking a day in his shoes, am I right? And finally, we've got John Wesley Hardin, a guy who started his murder career before he even hit puberty. Now, he didn't just have a temper, he had a full-blown rage-fueled hobby of eliminating people who slightly inconvenienced him. Soldiers, lawmen, cowboys, he wasn't picky. Hardin was born in 1853 and started stabbing and shooting people at an early age. Some say he might have had a bit of a temper, or maybe he was just taking the law, or outlaw, into his own hands. By 1871, he already shot so many people that keeping count was pointless. He even met Wild Bill Hickok. Who knows what happened there, but if we had to guess, probably nothing good. At some point, Hardin figured he should settle down. He got married, had kids, and then, in his spare time, killed a few more folks. He turned himself in, broke out of jail, got involved in a Texas feud, and kept adding names to the kill list. Fleeing to Florida didn't help either. He got caught in 1877 and sentenced to 25 years. While in prison, he had a change of heart, studied law, and became a lawyer. A lawyer? A lawyer? A lawyer. Yeah, sure. He was pardoned in 1894 and moved to El Paso, also known as Hell Paso back then. And it didn't take long before he was back to his old ways, hiring men to kill people he didn't like. That ended when Constable John Selman shot him in the head at the Acme Saloon in 1895. Hardin always claimed he never killed a man who didn't need killing. I guess that's one way to justify a triple-digit body count. I might be exaggerating the trip-digit body count thing, but he did a lot of killing. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, click that bell, and stay tuned for the next Deepish Dive.